Should the Washington Wizards try to trade for Cam Whitmore, and where would he fit? And we're going to do a preview for tomorrow night's game against the Spurs. Come on, rock with your boy. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, the question for tonight is, should the Washington Wizards try to trade for Cam Whitmore, and where would he fit if they wanted to make that move? And then we're going to do a preview for tomorrow night's game in San Antonio against Wembanyama. Definitely going to be a test for this young Washington Wizards team. But first things first, topic of the night, should the Washington Wizards try to lure Cam Whitmore from the Houston Rockets? As you guys know, currently he is in the G League. And it really shows that how much depth, how much young talent they have in Houston. He just happens to be that one odd man out. He was actually beaten out for the final roster spot by Reed Shepherd. But, he's definitely a guy who can play at a high level. He can definitely ball out. He's a baller. He's a DMV product. He's from the state of Maryland. So should the Washington Wizards try to make that move? And where would he fit? What would it take to make that move happen? And really, of course, would I make that move? So let's get into it, everybody. Again, Cam Whitmore. He is currently in the G League, and if you look at his age, he fits the timeline, what they're trying to do. And, we all know he can play. We all know the talent Cam Whitmore. But the question is, again, where would he fit and what would it take to acquire him? So, all right, real quick, before we get into the trade machine, we're going to look at his scouting report real quick because it says the Houston Rockets got a potential steal after a long projected lottery pick. And Villanova forward Cam Whitmore finally went 20th overall in the 2023 NBA draft. Now, looking at him, obviously he can play small forward and power forward, 6'7". His comparison is Miles Bridges, a very similar player who can play both forward positions. Looking at it further in his scouting report, Whitmore's power and explosiveness should easily translate to transition scoring, which is something we definitely need in DC. Driving offense and finishing. He also showed promise with his shot making, but he still needs to improve his overall shooting consistency and off the dribble play. So looking at his stat line, he did shoot 35% from three in limited action this season. He started only 2 games, but he's shown that he can shoot the ball. He can attack the rim. He can posterize folk. He's explosive. He's athletic, versatile. He can play both forward positions. And, he's a guy who shows a high level of or energy on the defensive end. So, where does he fit? Now, looking at this roster, the fact that, Bilal Coulibaly, and I got, really I see 2 options, okay? Let's get into the 2 options real quick where he could potentially fit in DC. Right now, to me, option 1 is start him at small forward, but you would have to move Bilal to the shooting guard, which would push Bob Carrington to the second unit. Now, how could that work on the second unit? Well, I think that he could definitely learn underneath Malcolm Brogdon and develop. He could definitely be another nice piece of the second unit, combining his skills, with Corey Kispert and Keyshawn George. So I think the second unit would get better. But, Bilal too, that was definitely an option early in the season, especially with injuries. But like I said, long-term, would that work? Like I said, I made it known that if you look at any backcourt where you have a scoring-minded guard, you need somebody who can play defense. And, even though right now you can't use the excuse that Jordan Poole is not a good defensive player because he's played well. So, that would be a really good defensive backcourt because, again, Jordan Poole is much improved on the defensive end, and Bilal Coulibaly is a beast, a dog in the defensive end. So that's option number 1. You could definitely start Cam Whitmore at small forward and slide Bilal Coulibaly to the 2, send Bob Carrington to run the second unit or work in tandem with Malcolm Brogdon, learn underneath him, develop underneath him, and add another weapon to the second unit, looking at Keyshawn George, looking at Corey Kispert. So I think that not a bad option. Second unit gets stronger. You definitely add a high-level scorer in Whitmore. And when you add that to Bilal, you got a couple of young guys who could definitely be a couple of scoring punches for this team going into the future because, again, he fits the timeline. So option number 2, power forward, because like I said before, he could play the 4. Now, what will happen with him playing the 4? What is the dynamics behind that? Well, easy. With him playing the 4, you keep Bilal at the 3, and then you still have the backcourt of Jordan Poole and Bub Carrington. Now, right now with with Kyle Kuzma in the starting lineup, Keyshawn George is being relegated to the second unit. So you kind of see the same scenario with Cam Whitmore if he were acquired. I would start him at the power forward position, and then you kind of slide Keyshawn George to the second unit. And again, I definitely believe that Corey Kispert and Keyshawn George really form a nice 1-2 punch on the second unit. Both of them are sharpshooters. Both of them can move without the basketball. Both of them can drive and attack the basket. So I think that they're a really nice 1-2 punch on the second unit. So what option would I go with? If we were to acquire Cam Whitmore, I would roll with him at the 4, keep Bilal at the 3, and keep the same backcourt of Jordan Poole and Bub Carrington. And then obviously you would have Alex Sarr at the 5. And then looking at the second unit, Corey Kispert and Keyshawn George together, still a really good option because they're a nice 1-2 punch off the second unit. So what would it take to acquire Cam Whitmore, though? All right, so let's pull up the trade machine real quick because, like I said, it would be tricky and there'd be a lot of moving pieces. So let's take a look at it real quick, everybody. All right, so taking a look at this is off of fanspo.com, so definitely recommend it. I've used the ESPN one, and I actually prefer this one, though. So let's pull up our Wiz Kids real quick, and let's pull up the second team as the Houston Rockets. All right. So from the Rockets, we'll be looking to acquire Cam Whitmore, who's making $3.3 million so let's go ahead and move him over there. So we will be taking $3.3 million in salary. Now, who could we realistically give up? Who would the Houston Rockets realistically want, right? Who would help them when they want to make that playoff push? And to me, Kyle Kuzma, with the price tag, I don't see him being a second unit guy. He wouldn't start over Jabari Smith Jr. And looking at their second unit, I mean, you got Tate. They got options. I mean, they got Jeff Green. So I don't see where Kyle Kuzma would fit. I think he fits on other teams. They're really looking at the trade market. Jordan Poole, I don't see us really moving him right now unless we're able to get a first-round pick from Houston, and I don't see Houston giving up a first-round pick. So to me, the most likely candidate to be moved is Malcolm Brogdon. Now, let's go ahead and slide him over there. Now, his price tag is $22.5 million. So we would have to add some salary to make this work because we would be taking in 3.3 and sending out to 22.5, which would send them over the luxury tax, $8.3 million. And they ain't trying to do all of that, right? So let's add a few players. Now, another guy that's been named in potential deals from Houston is Jayshawn Tate, making $7.5 million, and he's an expiring contract. So let's go ahead and slide him over there. We're still at 10.9. So we would have to acquire another player. Now, obviously, we're not trying to take on a long-term contract because right now we're in sell mode. So who could we add to the deal to make this thing work? And I'm going to say Steven Adams, expiring contract, 12.6. So looking at the salaries now, we are at 23.5 and they're at 22.5. Now, let's see if they can make that work. But just for roster space, we need to add a few players. So 2 players that have already been named as potential trade candidates. Number 1, Johnny Davis. So let's go ahead and slide him over there, $5.2 million on his expiring contract. And Patrick Baldwin Jr., $2.4 million on his expiring contract. So 3 players for 3 players. We will be taking in $30.2 million, but we will still be $17.3 million underneath the luxury tax, man. We won't have any cap room. We will be $12.9 million negative in cap room, but look, that's all good because we will be taking on aspiring contracts. So let's see if this thing's working because they will be cutting down their cap space by $7 million. They will be taking in 23.5. So let's go ahead and see if it works. And booyah, it works. So take a look at this trade, everybody. I mean, let's take a look. We'll be giving up Malcolm Brogdon, expiring contract, $22.5 million. Johnny Davis and Patrick Baldwin Jr., all expiring contracts. We will be taking on 2 expiring contracts in Jayshawn Tate and Steven Adams. We can add another center to the situation and the center rotation. And Jayshawn Tate would be a guy who can definitely add some quality minutes off the second unit when called upon. But the marquee guy in this trade is obviously Cam Whitmore. $3.3 million. Looking at his age, he fits the timeline. He's a guy who's a dog, who attacks the basket, who can drop those dimes, man. I'm telling you, he's a guy who can play high-level basketball, and he's from the DMV. Now, one kind of obstacle you got to look at outside this trade is obviously Sadiq Bey, another DMV product. He's definitely another guy from the state of Maryland. Where does he fit in long term? Because he will be coming back the later stages of the season, and he will definitely be a full participant next season. Where does he slot in? And I think that's one potential hiccup looking to acquire, Cam Whitmore. Where does Sadiq Bey, who is kind of a player that has a very, very similar play style, where does he fit in? And so that's another big question. Could you see the same scenario if you add Cam Whitmore? Could you see the same scenario where you slide Bilal to the 2? But at that point, I think there's a lot of moving pieces as far as young players, man. So I think that other moves would have to be made for this to be a realistic option. So let's get down to the point. Would I make this move? On one hand, I would love to acquire Cam Whitmore. Again, local product, a dog, a guy who could play high-level basketball, a scoring-minded guy, a wing who attacks the basket, explosive. I mean, he rolls in transition. He will be perfect for what the Wizards are trying to do in DC, right? Which is, pushing the pace, becoming a faster team in transition. But other dynamics to me make this kind of a hard trade to make because, one, would Houston want to get rid of Cam Whitmore? Right now he's out of the rotation. Right now he's in the G League, but moves will happen. They're going to be looking to make some certain moves heading towards the playoffs, man. Still early in the season, but, Houston's definitely a team who's looking to make those moves, try and make a move forward playoff contention. So, like I said, that's one hiccup. Would Houston want to part with Cam Whitmore? That's one thing. Number two, where would he fit? I know that the Washington Wizards are definitely trying to invest heavily in his backcourt of Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington, and they should because this is a really good backcourt. So I would definitely see if you can keep that backcourt intact. Because if you want to add Cam Whitmore, somebody's got to go. And like I said, it was really contingent on other trades because Kyle Kuzma realistically would have to be gone at that point if you want to play Cam Whitmore at the 4. And so, like I said, I think there's a lot more hiccups. There's a lot more obstacles that could make this trade a little hard. You know what I mean? Not that I would love to have Cam Whitmore in DC. Like I said, if there's barring moves made, like I said, Jonathan Valanciunas being moved, Kyle Kuzma being moved. Those are things that could open up maybe possibilities of acquiring Cam Whitmore. But right now, I'm gonna say I would love him here, but I'm gonna say no for right now because the dynamics of that trade, man. Where would he fit? And it is really contingent on other moves being made. Kyle Kuzma being traded, Jonas Valanciunas being traded because JV would have to be traded if you want to take on another center. And obviously, Adams would be an expiring contract, but then you would still have Rashawn Holmes and Tristan Vucevic, right? And like I said, Jason Tate be a guy on the second unit. I don't see, in an event of injury, he would get playing time. But like I said, the marquee name in this trade would be Cam Whitmore. And the biggest hiccup is where would he fit and what would it take to get him? And just the fit right now doesn't make sense right now. Not to say that it won't or can't. It's barring future moves. So right now I'm gonna say no, but if there's a chance, if we start making the moves, sending a lot of these veterans in trade deals, man, the possibility could become more and more likely. So, like I said, you guys get in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. So we're going to get into the preview for tomorrow night's game in San Antonio because we're heading to San Antonio to face Wembanyama. Lord have mercy. So before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. This FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get 100 minutes of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join the day. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, everybody, let's get back into this thing. Let's get into the preview for tomorrow night's game in San Antonio. So, all right, let's start it off. The 2-7 Washington Wizards are heading to San Antonio to face the 5-6 San Antonio Spurs, who are currently 12th in the West, and the Wizards are currently 13th in the East. And believe it or not, there are worse teams in the East than the Washington Wizards right now, the 76ers. But some other things to look at. It's an 8 o'clock game, so we will probably be going live. I would probably imagine around 11:30. It'll probably be closer to 11. So again, we will be going live like every other regular season game right after. So looking at some other stats, looking at team leaders real quick. Leading the Wizards in scoring right now, Jordan Poole with 20 points overall. Rebounds, 7.2 rebounds. Jonathan Valanciunas is leading all Wizards, and in assists is Bob Carrington with 5.1. Looking at the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama is leading the Spurs with 19.7 points per game on 44.6% field goal percentage and shooting 92.1% from the charity stripe. He also leads the Spurs in rebounding with 10.6 rebounds per game, including 2.2 offensive rebounds. So we know that it's going to be a battle of the paint, the battle of the rebounds. Leading the Spurs with assists is that vet, man, the long-time point guard, Chris Paul. 8.4 assists per game. So he's a guy who's definitely going to be a crafty veteran point guard who always gets the best out of the roster he plays on, whether it's been in L.A., whether it's been in Phoenix, whether it's been in Oklahoma City. You still have to watch Chris Paul because he's a very, very crafty point guard. So what are my three keys to development? Normally I say keys to victory, but we know what it is. It's 3 keys to development, all right? So number 1, attack in transition. The San Antonio Spurs are 4th in points given up, so the Wizards should push the pace and definitely try to catch this defense off guard. Look, this team is good when they run the ball, when they push the pace. So you definitely, with a team like the Spurs, who again are 4th in points given up, you want to push the push in transition. You want to attack in transition. Number 2, rebounding. We know that we have been bad for some time in rebounding. And yes, with the addition of Jonas Valanciunas, we were expected to be somewhat better in rebounding, but that has not been the case. And it's not because, Jonas Valanciunas has done this thing and other players have stepped up at times. But overall, we're just not a good rebounding team because currently we are the 25th best team in the NBA with 41 rebounds per game. So we have to, and looking at the Spurs, they are 10th in rebounding, which means the Wizards must box out and win the battle of the paint and win the battle of rebounds. All right, number 3, defense. If the Wizards want to slow down the 11th best team in the NBA when it comes to assists, which tells me ball movement is fluid over there, they have to be on the same page defensively, or it could be a very, very long night, man, because Wembanyama is balling, man. He is definitely balling at a high level, and he's a guy that, that's the guy that you definitely want to stop. And, Chris Paul, that really brings up 2 matchups, right? Wembanyama. Who do you want to see guard Wembanyama? That's the question, because obviously it ain't going to be Bilal. So you're probably looking at a battle between Wembanyama and Alex Sarr. And if you look at the battle against, Alex Sarr versus Şengün, Alex Sarr struggled. And he showed that he may not be ready to play the 5. But here's the thing. And I agree that he definitely needs to hit the weight room. Definitely needs to add 5-10 pounds of muscle. You don't want to mess with his speed. You don't want to mess with his swiftness because, again, he's the perfect center for a team that definitely wants to be a transition team, a team that wants to push the pace. But to be able to really battle in there in the paint with a lot of these veteran bigs in the NBA, you want to see him add some muscle. So, like I said, that is one matchup to looking at, Alex Sarr versus Victor Wembanyama. Definitely want to see Alex Sarr. It's not an easy assignment. Again, Wembanyama is averaging 19.7 points a game and 10.6 rebounds. So this is going to be a measure stick performance for Alex Sarr. See what he needs to work on and where he's at, because Wembanyama, man, he's looking like an all-star level talent in year 2, man. So the second matchup I'm looking for is Chris Paul versus Jordan Poole. Old school versus new school. I definitely want to see how Jordan Poole does defensively against Chris Paul. It really depends on who plays point. We've seen Jordan Poole play point. We've seen him play off ball. We've seen Bob Carrington take points. So I think not just Jordan Poole versus Chris Paul, but definitely Wizards point guard versus Chris Paul. Chris Paul is very crafty. I mean, he's definitely in conversation in the top 5 best point guards in the history of the NBA, man. Obviously, you got Magic, the list goes on, Stockton, the list goes, but he's definitely in the conversation. If you look at his body of work over the course of his career, he is definitely top 5, absolutely top 10 when it comes to point guards in the history of the NBA. So the battle versus Chris Paul really, because he's an orchestrator. So we definitely have to really put some pressure on him. And I think that the matchup, if they put pressure on him, because the thing is here, you're not going to stop Wembanyama. It's all about stopping his supporting cast. Wembanyama is one of those guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's one of those guys where you're not going to stop him. You can try to slow him down, but you're not going to stop him. So that's what I'm saying. Those are the couple of matches I'm looking at. Again, Bob Carrington / Jordan Poole versus Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama and Alex Sarr. Lord, that's going to be a matchup we want to see, but there's definitely going to be a lot of grim pains with Alex Sarr, but I'm very intrigued to see how he matches up versus Victor Wembanyama. So, all right, everybody, we're going to get into the itinerary for the rest of the week. real quick, and then we're going to call it a night. So, again, we're going to get into what to expect for the rest of the week, not only from this channel, but looking at the schedule for the Washington Wizards. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, you can see what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. Happens to everybody. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. I'm trying to tell y'all. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. It's that easy. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, everybody, let's get back into this thing. So let's take a look at the schedule and what to kind of expect for the rest of the week, not only from Locked On Wizards, but from our beloved Wizards. So looking at the schedule real quick, guys, obviously tomorrow night at San Antonio at 8 o'clock. So definitely tune in for that because we will be going live after that game. But Friday is I'm going to put a poll out right after this video, guys. They play Friday night, 7:30 at Atlanta. Also Friday night is Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So for all you guys that want to watch the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, I'm an old school fan, so I definitely want to see Mike Tyson knock that dude out. So if I'm going to put the poll out there, if you guys want to go live on Friday night, or if you just want to go ahead and just watch the fight and we'll go live Saturday night, you guys get in the poll, let me know, because like I said, I want to watch the fight, but I'm pretty sure that if you guys want to go live after the Wizards game, I could probably watch the rerun of the fight. Because it's on Netflix, so they're definitely going to rerun the fight. So like I said, you guys make the decision, because either way I'm cool, because look, you guys are part of this thing, man. So like I said, I'm going to put a poll out. You guys let me know if you guys want to go ahead and just do this, you do the recap for Friday night's game on Saturday. I'm down with that. I got you. But if you guys want to roll Friday night, I got you on that too. So again, I will leave it up to you guys. So all right, guys, short and simple tonight, covered a lot, but you guys get in the comment section, let me know what you think. Cam Whitmore, do you make that move, and where does he fit? So definitely get in the comment section and let me know, yes or no. Would you want to acquire Cam Whitmore? And where do you envision him playing as far as position-wise? And what kind of package do you want to see us send over to the Houston Rockets? And then also, looking at the preview for tomorrow night's game, what other matchups do you guys want to see? And what other keys to development do you envision? So definitely let your boy know in the comment section. So, all right, everybody. Hope everybody has a blessed night. I will see everybody tomorrow night after the Spurs game. Hail to the Wizards, and peace.